Good morning, America. The Middle East at war, the vice presidential debate. 34 days until the final votes. Overnight, Governor Tim Walz, Senator J.D. Vance go head-to-head. Vance refuses to admit Donald Trump lost the 2020 election as they sparred over the economy, immigration, and abortion.
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography?
I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
Our powerhouse political team breaks it all down.
Israel preparing a counterstrike. After Iran's massive missile strike, more than 200 fired in about 30 minutes, most shot down by Israel and the U.S. military.
New disturbing accusations against Sean Diddy Combs.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world.
This morning, the Texas attorney who says he represents 120 alleged victims.
Breaking point. The growing desperation for food, water, and power in the wake of Hurricane Helene.
Microsoft rolls out an updated artificial intelligence companion Copilot, designed to be conversational, emotionally intelligent.
Which celeb does he remind you of?
Oh, he's totally one of the Chris's.
We gave it a shot.
Good morning, America.
Remembering John Amos. From The West Wing to Roots.
The only time I get to be free is when I run away.
Coming to America. And of course, all the good times.
And where dreams are made of.
Throw to the plate, too late.
An amazing comeback for the New York Mets. And the New York Liberty, one step closer to defeating the defending champs.
Ionescu, the leader, is good.
Celebrating with the one and only Alicia Keys.
New York,
What an electric night in Brooklyn.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. A big night and a busy morning. President Biden is on his way to the hard-hit hurricane zone, Morgan Norwood. We'll have more in Asheville, North Carolina, which is still cut off from vital resources.
There's so much going on right now as the Middle East war escalates. Israel now weighing a strike on Iran ahead of the Jewish New Year. Our team standing by across the region.
But we begin with last night's high-stakes vice presidential debate. Tim Walz and J.D. Vance faced off with the race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump neck and neck. Mary Bruce and John Carl are standing by with the reaction. But first, Rachel Scott is here to start us off with the highlights. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, good morning to you, Michael. Look, no name calling, no personal insults, but there were sharp divides over policy, and the stakes were unusually high here. We are just 34 days out from the November election. This race is locked in a dead heat, and with no other debates scheduled, it is the vice presidential candidates that got the final word.
Overnight, in what is likely the last debate before the November election, the two vice presidential candidates sparring over the results of the last election, with Senator J.D. Vance refusing to admit his running mate, Donald Trump, lost.
This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz challenging Vance to admit Trump was defeated, pointing out Trump's former vice president Mike Pence wasn't on the debate stage because he stood up to him on January 6.
That's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't?
Much of the debate was civil and cordial, focused on policy, from immigration to abortion rights.
That is, I think,
That's
whether
not
you're
true.
pro-choice or
That's not out of line.
pro-abortion.
Wall's got off to a shaky start, appearing nervous, at one point mixing up Israel and Iran.
The expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there.
Both candidates asked to explain their past comments. Walls asked about false claims he made that he was in Hong Kong during the democracy protests back in 1989.
I'm a knucklehead at times. All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
And Vance pressed on his own words from 2016, claiming Trump was unfit for the nation's highest office.
Sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump.
Vance was more measured than he has been on the campaign trail. After amplifying false claims that Haitian migrants in his home state of Ohio were eating neighborhood pets, the Ohio senator now shying away from it on the debate stage. But after a tense exchange on the issue, the moderators muting the candidates' microphones, Vance cut off.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
The other major issue, abortion rights. Walz placing the blame squarely on Donald Trump for sweeping abortion restrictions in nearly 24 states, telling the stories of women impacted by the bans.
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography?
Donald Trump has bragged about appointing 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe versus Wade. But Vance acknowledging Republicans have to do better on this issue.
My party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
Yeah, the Trump campaign trying to make some inroads with likely female voters. So this debate was civil. At times, these two candidates even acknowledge where they have common ground. It was a much different tone from the last 2 presidential debates. But Donald Trump is holding firm. He made it clear again he is not interested in another debate, with Vice President Kamala Harris calling it too late, even though he has participated in debates in late October in both 2016 and 2020, George.
Okay, Rachel, thanks. Let's bring in our Chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, our Chief Washington correspondent, John Karl. Mary, the Harris campaign zeroing in on that last question.
Yeah, 90 minutes in, they feel that that was the moment that defined this debate, that exchange on January 6th and defending the Constitution. In fact, this morning they're rushing to get out an ad on that exchange, what Walz called Vance's damning non-answer there, and his refusal still to admit that Donald Trump lost the election. Look, it did take, Walz a little while to hit his stride there. You saw the nerves at the top, but the campaign overall feels that he was able to articulate the issues to take the fight back to Donald Trump. But the big picture here, this was the last marquee event of this campaign, with another debate seeming certainly unlikely. And it's hard to see how this moved the needle much, but in a race that is this close, especially in the key battlegrounds, even a little movement can make a big difference.
Trump campaign pretty happy too.
Yeah, I don't know how happy Donald Trump is. By the time the debate was halfway through, he was tweeting about Pete Rose. And I don't know if he likes the fact that this morning people are talking about how good a job that J.D. Vance did in comparison to how Donald Trump did in his debate. Let's face it, Vance looked very reasonable. He looked rational. This was a civil debate in a campaign that has not been civil by any measure. But what was striking to me is that you had to go 90 minutes into this debate before you hit the fact that this is not a normal election, that Donald Trump tried to overturn the last election. And in that last answer, what you saw is that J.D. Vance is saying that he wouldn't do what Mike Pence did. He wouldn't stand up to Donald Trump if he tried to do it again. He would help him, and he would have helped him last time overturn an American democratic election. You finally got to that at the end. But for the first 90 minutes or so, this looked like this is simply a campaign about policy differences, and it's really not, George. It's more than that.
It is absolutely stunning. The only time in American history it has ever happened. Thank you both very much. Robin?
All right, George, now to Israel, vowing to retaliate after the missile assault by Iran. Israel is now facing adversaries on multiple fronts, including Iran and its proxies. The latest escalations now brings that region even closer to all-out war. Matt Gutman is in Tel Aviv. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Israel already vowing a ferocious response to what is arguably the biggest ballistic missile attack in history. Multiple Israeli military bases hit. Clearly, some of those missiles managed to penetrate Israel's air defenses. I want to give you a sense for the power of these missiles. The one that was able to do this actually landed about 100 feet in the ocean, but the blast wave was so powerful, it just ripped off the facade of this building.
This morning, after that massive Iranian missile assault targeting Israel's major cities Tuesday, Israel says it's preparing a counterstrike. These videos circulating on social media showing missiles pouring down on an Israeli military base. In a span of about 30 minutes, Iran firing about 200 ballistic missiles, one of the largest such attacks in history.
Sirens going off again. We're just about to run inside, but this is another round of rockets or missiles coming in at this point. You can see people running, their soldiers with guns. Downstairs, you can see them armed.
Israelis scrambling for shelter. Israel's air defense systems intercepting most of those missiles, some shot down by the U.S. military. But multiple missiles penetrating that missile defense shield, one hitting this elementary school in southern Israel. Video showing another exploding north of Tel Aviv. No! And this nearby surveillance video capturing the moment one landed near Israel's intelligence headquarters. We saw this massive crater in the area.
The blast radius here is about 200 meters. You can see what it did to that car. The missile essentially disintegrating on impact here, and the crater it left behind is about 30 feet deep.
A piece of one missile the size of a bus killing a Palestinian in the West Bank. Moments before the sirens, a separate deadly attack outside a Tel Aviv rail station, terrorists killing at least 7. Meanwhile, Iranian officials say their massive air attack is in response to Israel killing Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, as well as the assassination of a Hamas political leader in Tehran in July.
So here's what's happening now. The Israeli military will be presenting a menu of options to the Israeli cabinet, which I'm told is very likely to include attacking Iranian military installations, but also likely to include attacking its oil facilities. It really depends on how far the Israeli government wants to take this. But remember, we're in the midst of the Jewish New Year here in Israel, the biggest holiday of the year, and a reprisal might not be immediate. Robin.
All right, Matt, our thanks to you. George?
Okay, Robin, let's go to Ian Pannell, our chief foreign correspondent in Beirut. We just heard what the situation is like in Tel Aviv. How about on the ground in Beirut?
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep things in perspective, right? I mean, Beirut, Lebanon has been under attack consistently for at least 2 weeks. We're talking about thousands of projectiles, rockets, missiles, air attacks by aeroplanes, up to 1 million people displaced, around 16 to 2,000 people have been killed in the country. So the situation here remains tense. We know Israeli troops have crossed over the border. Now Hezbollah are saying that there have been clashes on the ground. They're claiming a number of Israeli casualties, which we absolutely can't confirm. But there's no sense that things have calmed down here. Things are continuing to be tense, and for many people, life is just getting worse.
And the big question now is, will the ground operations escalate? Will Israel strike Iran?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So that's the question. And I think the key issue here is, how does Israel respond? Does it calibrate its response, which it did after the last Iranian assault on Israel back in April? It was a single attack. It was basically to send a message that, yes, we've responded, everyone's retaliated, no real damage, and it's not going to escalate further. There's real danger here. We keep talking, George, about the dangers of escalation in this conflict. Well, it's already escalated.
No question about that, Ian Pannell. Thanks, Michael.
All right, thank you, George. Let's bring in Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. Martha, great to have you here in studio with us. And all eyes were on Iran, whether or not they would respond. So what do you think their goal was yesterday?
Well, I think you would think Iran did not want to escalate this any further, but they wanted retribution. And if you fire that many ballistic missiles, more than 200 ballistic missiles, they had to assume some of them would get through those interceptors. Fortunately, not very many did, and there was no major damage, but there very well could have been. You look at Matt walking around there, those craters. If those were, 100 yards a different direction, I think we'd have a very, very different story this morning. So Iran may not want to escalate, but it certainly could have happened in a major way yesterday.
In the administration, they're obviously watching this. How do you think Israel might respond?
Well, Matt's on the ground there, Ian's on the ground there. I'm just back from there, but I have been talking to administration officials. They believe at this point that Israel will have a modest response, that it will not be massive. On the other hand, the same senior official said to me, Israel is not really telling us everything they have planned.
So I guess time will tell.
It will indeed.
All right, thank you, Martha.
You bet.
Well, it's good to have you with us in the studio, Martha. Thank you. Now, the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and the desperate search for people still missing. The death toll climbing to at least 166 people across the southeast. The situation remains dire in hard-hit North Carolina. Morgan Norwood is in Asheville for us. Good morning, Morgan.
Robin, good morning to you. We know President Joe Biden is headed to this region today, set to fly over all of this devastation in Helene's path. And I want to give you a live look at our drone, a bird's eye view of the types of scenes that the president will see when he flies over. You've got these shipping containers tossed over by this raging river, almost like toys, a U-Haul truck back there, more of those box trucks scattered throughout the trees. I mean, the devastation here is extensive, and this area is in desperate need of relief.
This morning, the desperation for food, water, and power in the wake of Hurricane Helene reaching a breaking point.
We just need a way in and out of here.
6,300 National Guard troops racing to get aid to those in need, along with an army of volunteers. The death toll skyrocketing. At least 166 people killed across 6 states and hundreds of people still missing. New images from storm-ravaged areas continue to emerge. In Irwin, Tennessee, ambulances towed away where dozens were rescued from the roof of that hospital. Dump trucks filled with trees and debris. And back here in North Carolina, dramatic dashboard camera footage capturing this moment that a couple narrowly missed being swept up in a landslide in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Landslides and flooding washing away roads and bridges, making it nearly impossible to get to those in need.
You're cut off. We're cut off. You're going to use this.
Meanwhile, search and rescue efforts growing more dire. Rod and his wife, Kim Ashby, were inside their home as it floated down the river.
We know that a neighbor saw the house actually hit the bridge, and at that point, the house started to collapse.
A tree separating them. Rod rescued Tuesday night. His wife, Kim, still missing.
Losing your most loved one when you had her in your arms and now you don't. I don't imagine there's much that can compare to that.
She's a breast cancer survivor. It's hard not to hold on to that hope.
And the number of relief agencies here on the ground in Asheville continues to grow by the day. Their operations also expanding. In fact, the group that we featured yesterday here on GMA says that they brought in more than 30,000 cases of water. They also plan to open up more feeding shelters throughout the Asheville area today. We've seen more and more power crews pour in from all over the southeast. But again, that relief is growing. But again, it can't come fast enough for the folks here still really, guys.
And thank goodness for all those volunteers.
Yes.
Boy, how they are coming out. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you.
Coming up, the new disturbing accusations against Sean Diddy Combs. We also have one on the Texas attorney who says he represents 120 victims.
Plus, remembering actor John Amos, who starred in groundbreaking television shows such as Good Times and Roots.
And Microsoft revealing its updated AI tool that makes it more like a personal assistant. Well, we tried it out. We're just getting started on this Wednesday morning, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to GMA. That theme song, a familiar one to so many families who invited the Evans family into their own living room. And this morning, we remember the Good Time star John Amos. Chris Conley has more on his legacy and his dedication.
What a legacy it is. Following a lot of headlines right now, including the war in the Middle East. Israel now weighing a strike on Iran ahead of the Jewish New Year after the Iranian missile assault targeting Israel's major cities Tuesday. Also right now, former doctors agreed to plead guilty to charges related to the ketamine death of actor Matthew Perry is due in an LA courtroom today. Prosecutors say Mark Chavez has confessed to writing fake prescriptions for the actor. He entered into a plea agreement in August, expected to change his initial not guilty plea to guilty.
And overnight, some of the wild card matchup. The Padres took game 1 from the Brave. Fernando Tatis Jr. started off strong with a first inning home run, and San Diego shut out Atlanta. The Mets stayed hot, scoring 5 times with 2 outs in the 5th to take the lead. that they would not give up in the American League. The Royals beat the Orioles 1-0, and Kansas City starter Cole Reagans threw 6 innings of shutout baseball, and the Tigers beat the AL champion West Astros. Tariq Skubal also tossed 6 shutout innings. A lot of great close baseball games there. And we've got a lot more ahead, including the latest on Microsoft's AI upgrade. I'm going to tell you about that coming up, George.
Right now, new allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. An attorney says he represents 120 accusers who've come forward with sexual misconduct allegations. He expects to file civil lawsuits against the rap mogul. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is tracking the latest. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, George. If these lawsuits actually come to pass, Combs would be facing sexual misconduct allegations on an unprecedented scale. This morning, new disturbing accusations against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs from a Texas attorney who says he represents 120 alleged victims, men and women, whose allegations span more than 30 years.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world.
The accounts of the alleged victims, some of whom were children, have not been fully vetted, but their accusations involve the kind of drug-fueled recorded sexual assaults described in a dozen previous civil lawsuits and the criminal case against Combs.
What shocked me most was that it was going on openly in front of other people that you would know, who didn't do anything to stop it, who turned a blind eye towards it.
Combs, who remains behind bars, has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. His attorney says Combs emphatically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. The attorney adding he looks forward to proving his innocence and vindicating himself in court if and when claims are filed and served. The attorney says he expects these new civil lawsuits going to be filed within the next 30 days or so. In the meantime, Combs is due to return to court here in Manhattan next week on the criminal charges. His attorney in that case is asking a federal appeals court to let him out on bail, guys.
Okay, Aaron, thanks very much.
All right, we're going to turn now to remembering actor John Amos. He is best known for his starring roles in Good Times and the TV miniseries Roots. Chris Conley is in Los Angeles with more on Amos's life and legacy. Good morning to you, Chris.
And good morning to you, Robin. On Good Times, he sought to discredit negative stereotypes. He brought knowledge from the months he'd spent living in Liberia to his role in Roots. John Amos was an actor whose integrity and intellect informed the parts he played. An actor of surpassing stature, power, and versatility, equally adept at comedy and drama.
I'm an admiral in the U.S. Navy and chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Beat that with a stick.
John Amos blazed trails and delighted audiences throughout his decades-long career in TV, movies, and on stage, starting in the 1970s.
I tell you, Fiddler, sometimes it seems like being alone and being free, you're all the same for a slave.
His performance as the adult Kunta Kinte alongside Lou Gossett Jr.'s Fiddler in the 1977 landmark television miniseries Roots would earn Amos an Emmy nomination. After occasional appearances as Gordy the Weatherman on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, the only black actor in that show's elite cast, Amos would win fans for his starring stint.
You know, one thing I never worry about, baby, is that energy crisis, because I got my own personal heating system.
Not so bad yourself.
Opposite Esther Roll as the working-class patriarch on the first 3 seasons of Good Time. The 1970s Norman Lear sitcom set in a Chicago housing project where he'd be often beset by the antics of Jimmy Walker's JJ.
Do you know how many cats applied for that job? Over 50. Over 50. And I came away leading the pack. You know why? Why? Because, Junior, when it comes to doing the do, your father can do it to death. I felt that it was my responsibility to correct some of the inaccuracies and some of the stereotypes that had been perpetuated up to that time, that black fathers would leave their families. I did not desert my family. 2, that we were idle and lazy and really didn't care for our children. So I got a chance to refute that. They got the golden arches. Mine is the golden arcs.
On the big screen, he'd play Akeem's boss and the father of Akeem's beloved Lisa in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. And he'd shine on Aaron Sorkin's The West Wing as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I also think the military wasn't designed to be an instrument of social change.
Yes, sir.
Problem with that is that's what they were saying about me 50 years ago. Blacks shouldn't serve with whites.
Born in New Jersey, Amos was a semi-pro football player, writer, and stand-up comic before beginning his acting career. Earlier this year, allegations of elder abuse towards Amos were made by his daughter Shannon against a sibling. An LAPD investigation yielded no evidence of wrongdoing. Amos's death at age 84 on August 21st of this year, made public for the first time on Tuesday, earning him tributes from co-stars and admirers. Martin Lawrence declaring, "This one hits different." Vanessa Bell Calloway telling ABC News he was such a sweet spirit and an outstanding actor. May he rest in peace. Amos himself once telling the Television Academy how he hopes his many fans will recall him.
I just like to be remembered as someone they enjoyed watching and they enjoyed having in their homes.
Wendell Pierce and Chuck D of Public Enemy also paying tribute to John Amos on social media. Game recognizes game, honoring an actor who always had a way with a punchline or a powerful scene. Guys?
And also a man of principle. All right, Chris, thank you.
Microsoft hopes is the next step forward in AI. It's a redesigned version of its Copilot, giving it voice and new capabilities to make it more of a personalized assistant. Trevor Ault got a chance to try it. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Michael. You know, for years we have learned to talk in the language of the computer. Google searches like Mexican restaurants NYC. But this Copilot voice is built to talk to us in our language. They say it is emotionally intelligent, helping to tackle human issues as an AI that may feel more human than any tech we've seen before.
Good morning, Theodore.
Good morning.
You have a meeting in 5 minutes. You want to try getting out of bed? Get up!
You're too funny.
This morning, scenes like this from the 2013 movie Her, considered science fiction not that long ago, are now becoming all the more real. Microsoft is rolling out an update to its AI companion Copilot. And listen as it answers a question about housewarming gifts.
You could go for something versatile, like a nice set of artisanal teas, fancy olive oil, or a gourmet gift basket with like snacks and treats they can enjoy.
It's designed to be conversational. It says and ah, as if it were a human and a friend.
Which celeb does he remind you of?
Oh, he's totally one of the Chris's.
Microsoft says it doesn't just know facts, it's built to help you live your life. I gave it a try, asking for help planning a birthday party for my producer, Taylor.
It would be nice to have it kind of interactive, but also professional because she's a coworker.
Got it. How about a cocktail and canvas evening?
And also, just like the movies,
I want to learn everything about everything.
If you opt in, you can allow Copilot to learn about you. The company says it's built to be emotionally intelligent. We tested that too, and notice how this time it changes its tone.
I've been really busy and I'm pretty tired, and work is a little tough today.
That sounds like a lot. If you need to unload, I'm here to listen.
What do you think I should do?
Well, there are a few ways to tackle this.
But the technology will soon go far beyond that. Microsoft says Copilot will eventually be able to act on your behalf, managing your schedule, or accompanying you to the doctor and taking notes. They're even developing something called Think Deeper, allowing the AI to weigh in on major life decisions.
I think more and more we're going to see more what we call agentic behavior. So the system starting to take actions on our behalf or make decisions on our behalf, and us actually getting to a place where we might be able to trust that. But of course, we need to be very thoughtful because there's also the potential to have tools that are making decisions in the background that are not affecting us in positive ways.
Well, the Microsoft Copilot voice feature is available for free to download right now, and some of the more advanced features are going to roll out slowly. One moment that I took note of talking to it, you heard me ask, I'm having a tough day, and it told me that I should get some rest. We went off several minutes talking about other things. I finished talking to it, and it circled back and said, are you going to get some rest today? It remembered what we had talked about earlier in the day.
creeping me out.
Yeah,
I get that.
I don't want a machine emoting.
But when it goes oh and I'm like, oh no. Okay, but there's you ask some substantial questions like where should I move?
Right.
All these different things.
Yeah, and
but I guess the biggest thing, a lot of people wonder, are there any fail-safes?
Yeah, for sure. And Microsoft did say that there's a number of safeguards. If you ask it a substantial life question, one example for the future was, should I move to this city or should I move to that city? That has significant impact. Microsoft says that they've got safeguards, number one, to protect your privacy, and also in terms of specificity, in terms of guidance, especially right now. If you ask it something like, should I quit my job? You're likely going to get a much more generic, guarded answer about weighing options and things to consider without it telling you directly what to do with your life.
What if it says yeah?
Well, then it's been nice working with you then.
We were going down memory lane with Will Reeve. But we're back now, play of the day, and the reason that I will definitely need a nap later, Will, you've got the exciting WNBA playoff action.
You know all about it, Robin.
Yes.
It was a fantastic evening in the WNBA playoffs. Overnight, the Minnesota Lynx rebounding from a Game 1 loss to the Connecticut Sun. Minnesota star Nafisa Collier was held in check. She had just 9 points, but she added 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. That's a pretty good stat line. Courtney Williams leading the way for the Lynx. 17 points. The series now heads to Connecticut, all tied up. Lots of drama there. Minnesota, coordinated celebration with a little victory dance.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
It was a fantastic, fantastic game, Robin.
Oh, and the New York Liberty, one win away from returning to the finals.
I know that would be big, and avenging last year's WNBA Finals loss to the Las Vegas Aces. Sabrina Ionescu leading the way for New York. 24 points, 11 of those in the fourth quarter. That's clutch, helping the Liberty close out the win. There was some star power courtside, including Alicia Keys at the sold-out game.
And we got to give some love to Gail King. She was there.
Gail King was there. Morning TV. Yeah. Alicia visited the team's locker room afterward, celebrating the game. Karaoke. Lots of singing and dancing in the WNBA playoffs. Game 3 for both series, Friday night on ESPN2.
They're having fun.
Oh, boy.
I love it.
Oh, the place was packed. It was rocking last night.
Yeah.
Okay, where am I? Who am I? Yeah, right. Coming up, Lori Bergamato is here with top denim fashions for the fall. Come on back.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. Governor Tim Walz, Senator J.D. Vance go head-to-head. Vance refuses to admit Donald Trump lost the 2020 election as they sparred over the economy, immigration, abortion. 34 days until the final votes. The new warning about a link between ADHD and anxiety meds, potentially severe health consequences for young athletes. This morning, what parents need to know about an increased risk of heat-related illnesses, with an unprecedented late-season heat wave happening right now.
Patrice and Gary want to get married.
I want to see it change so that we can get married before I'm 150 years old.
But if they do, the government benefit they need to live would be cut. So what's going on? You're going to want to hear their story.
Putting a spell on fans.
I put a spell on you.
Bette Midler's cryptic new message, making fans scream with excitement, and what it could mean for the Hocus Pocus franchise. No need to dial 911 because Peter Krause is live in Times Square, talking about his hit show and more. As we say, Good Morning, America.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA.
This is GMA, Good Morning America. October is here, and so is Lori Bergamato with the coolest denim this season. She's got something for everyone, as you can see, and that's coming up.
It's a lot of denim. All right, also just ahead, we have the latest on the dock workers strike. We're live at what's usually one of the busiest ports in the country, which is now at a standstill.
First, look at the top stories breaking at 8. We start with last night's vice presidential debate. Tim Walz, J.D. Vance, 34 days until the final votes. Let's bring Rachel Scott back. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, George, good morning to you. And the stakes here were unusually high. 34 days out from the election, this race is now locked in a dead heat. And with no other debates scheduled, it is the vice presidential candidates that got the final word.
Overnight, in what is likely the last debate before the November election, the two vice presidential candidates sparring over the results of the last election, with Senator J.D. Vance refusing to admit his running mate, Donald Trump, lost.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz challenging Vance to admit Trump was defeated, pointing out Trump's former Vice President Mike Pence wasn't on the debate stage because he stood up to him on January 6.
Where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't?
Much of the debate was civil and cordial, focused on policy, from immigration to abortion rights.
That is, I think,
That's
whether
not
you're
true.
pro-choice or
That's not how the law
pro-abortion.
is.
Both candidates asked to explain their past comments. Walz asked about false claims he made that he was in Hong Kong during the democracy protests back in 1989.
I'm a knucklehead at times. All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this.
And Vance pressed on his own words from 2016, claiming Trump was unfit for the nation's highest office.
I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump.
The other major issue, abortion rights. Walz placing the blame squarely on Donald Trump for sweeping abortion restrictions in nearly 24 states.
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography?
Donald Trump has bragged about appointing 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. But Vance acknowledging Republicans have to do better on this issue.
My party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do.
So no personal attacks or insults. This debate was civil at times. The two candidates even acknowledge where they have common ground, and it's likely the last marquee event before the November election. This morning, Donald Trump once again making it clear he's not interested in another debate. But guys, look, we've covered so many of these now. The last two, the tone was just so different this time around. Civil is not a word that we use to describe those last two debates.
No, but we're 34 days away. 34 days away. Rachel, thank you as always. Now to our other top story, Israel vowing to retaliate after the missile assault by Iran. Israel is now facing adversaries on multiple fronts, including Iran and its proxies. Let's go back to Matt Gutman, who's there in Tel Aviv for us. Good morning again, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. This was arguably the biggest ballistic missile strike in history. And as you mentioned, Israel already vowing a ferocious response. Multiple Israeli military bases hit, and clearly some of those missiles managed to penetrate Israel's air defenses. And I want to give you a sense for the power of some of these missiles. The one that ripped off the facade of this building actually landed about 100 feet in the ocean. I'm going to move this gentleman over there. The blast wave alone caused this to happen. Now, in all, about 200 Iranian missiles pouring over Israeli cities. You can see those interceptors rising up to meet them. The U.S. Navy said that 2 destroyers knocked some of those missiles out of the sky. But one of those missiles hit in a school south of Tel Aviv. Another punched a crater in the street near the Israeli intelligence headquarters here. At least one person killed, a Palestinian man in the West Bank. You're asking what's next? The Israeli military is going to be presenting the Israeli cabinet with a menu of options, and I'm told it's very likely to include attacking Iranian military installations, but also possibly its energy sector. It really depends on how far the Israeli government wants to take this. But remember, a reprisal might not be immediate. We're in the midst of Israel's most important holiday, the Jewish New Year, and Israel is going to consult with the U.S. before a reprisal. Michael.
All right, Matt Gutman, thank you for being there for us. We're going to turn now to the port strike that threatened to cripple U.S. supply chains. Tens of thousands of dock workers walked off the job Tuesday at ports from Texas to Maine, and the ripple effects will be felt nationwide. Elizabeth Schulze is at the Port of New York and New Jersey. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Michael. We are now in day 2 of this massive strike, and union dock workers here tell us they will stay on the picket line for as long as it takes to get a fair contract. This is one of 14 major shipping hubs where no cargo right now is moving in or out. This strike could cost the economy billions of dollars a day. Containers full of products like fresh fruit, clothes, auto parts, even medicine cannot be loaded on or off ships. One supply chain analyst at Everstream Analytics tells me that there are now at least 45 vessels waiting to dock along the east and Gulf Coast. There were just 3 on Sunday. We have already seen some major retailers like Walmart and Costco divert shipments to other ports on the West Coast to make sure that their shelves stay stocked during the holidays. The Biden administration is now ramping up the pressure on shipping companies to offer higher wages to the union. Members here tell us that they are also demanding limits on the use of automated machinery that they fear could replace their jobs. Guys.
Okay, Elizabeth, thanks. Coming up on our GMA morning menu, the new warning about possible severe health issues for kids who take medications for ADHD and anxiety.
Also, the new movie about Patrice and Gary. They want to get married, but if they do, the government benefits they need to live on would be cut. You do not want to miss their story.
Plus, Lori Bergamotto getting our denim look on point for the fall. And Will Reeve is with a special guest. Hey, Will.
Hey there, Michael. I'm here with Peter Krause, star of 911. He's played a firefighter, a funeral director, a lawyer, a teacher, and a sports anchor. Of those jobs, which would you want in real life?
Sports anchor.
Sports anchor.
Certainly over funeral director.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
You just talked to Robin about being a sports anchor. She knows some people.
Yeah.
That's coming up right here on GMA.
Welcome back to GMA, everybody. Tomorrow, Tori Johnson is here with a Deal and Steals fan favorite. Everything is $20 and under, so make sure you get ready for that. George?
Okay, Michael, time for our GMA cover story. Youth sports are in full swing with the new school year underway, and there's a new warning about the link between ADHD and anxiety medications and potentially severe health consequences for kids. It's a new report from ESPN's Paula Levine. Our medical correspondent, Dr. Darian Sutton, is here to break it down. Darian, thank you for coming in this morning. So just talk about the connection between these drugs, high heat, sports.
Yeah, well, this is shining light on an important risk that many parents may not be aware of, and this is for more than 3 million children who are using medications to treat ADHD, anxiety, and depression. What happens, George, is that these medications can interrupt the body's natural responses to cooling down, which in times of heavy exertion, for example, during an athletic sport, or extreme heat or humidity, that might increase the risk significantly.
So what signs should parents watch out for?
Number one, muscle cramping is often a common sign. That's secondary to losing salt from sweat. Also, sudden fatigue, headache, nausea, dizziness, clammy or flushed skin. These are all signs that your body might be having difficulty dealing with the heat and you need to get out of it.
So should athletes take a break from these medications during hot weather?
I do not think that there needs to be an interruption of the medications, and I don't think that athletes need to stop playing sports if they're using these medications. But it's important to have open communication with the coach and the physician to make sure that everyone's aware of these conditions and the increased risk, and then also just doing some basic things to stay safe on the field. For example, staying hydrated, having an ample amount of water, also making sure that you're taking frequent breaks, avoiding caffeine, wearing loose and lightweight clothing. These are all methods that you can reduce your risk. But George, this is 100% survivable as long as you recognize the signs early.
Yes, you just got to keep an eye on it.
Just keep an eye on it.
Okay, thanks very much, Robin.
And George, now a new documentary hoping to shed light on the fight for marriage equality and those living with a disability. It's called Patrice, the movie, and Eva Pilgrim is here with that story for us. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. This is a love story filled with adversity. Patrice Jenner finally finds the love of her life, but she discovers that love is going to cost her, and now she's on a mission to change that for herself and others.
Hi, my name is Patrice. I am a totally cool person with a disability. If it can be done, she will do it.
But there's one thing Patrice can't do. She can't marry the love of her life, Gary Wickham, who is also disabled. Their story playing out in the new documentary about the next frontier of marriage equality, Patrice, the movie.
She is hands down the most famous cross guard in Hamilton Township. She might as well be Madonna. Do that sound, honey, because you're good at doing that.
The movie exploring the highs and lows of the disabled couple, directed by Ted Passon, who has known Patrice for 20 years.
We just started filming just the everyday lives of Patrice and Gary. And during that time, they decided they wanted to get married, realized they couldn't. And that seemed like, okay, well, that's the story that we want to tell. That's the thing that needs to be changed.
I love everything about Gary. He's funny. He always wants to help out.
Patrice and Gary want to get married, but if they do, even if they move in together, the government benefits they need to live would be cut.
If you get married,
and you're collecting a Social Security benefit through Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your benefit will be cut, and you would probably lose your Medicaid benefits.
I mean, we'd never be able to pay for the bills.
Well, they don't care. It's just simple as that.
It's shocking that two people who love each other in this country not only can't get married without losing their health care, it's essentially it's a violation of human rights that was somehow codified in our benefit system decades ago and has just never been changed.
Patrice and Ted hoping the movie will get more people fighting for the rights of the disabled.
Ultimately, we're hoping that we can raise enough awareness with this film that the laws can change, and hopefully they can change quickly.
And there is legislation right now in front of Congress, the Marriage Equality for Disabled Adults Act. Advocates hope it will eliminate the penalty on these couples for finding love. Patrice the movie is streaming now on Hulu. Robin.
I'm so glad they found each other, Eva.
Yeah,
and the
such
love
a cute
story.
love story.
Yeah, it really is. And hopefully change will come about. But right now, let's change to pop news with Will.
Let's do it, Robin. Good morning, one and all. We begin this morning with some tennis and an act of sportsmanship courtesy of Grand Slam champion Coco Gauff. She's playing in the China Open. She was facing Naomi Osaka, and Osaka was forced to retire mid-match with a back injury. But Coco took that moment to extend a helping hand. She went over to Osaka's bench. She offered to help carry her bags and move off the court. And there they go to cheers from the audience. Osaka saying more about the injury on social media, writing, quote, "I locked up my back during practice earlier. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I could even play, but I just wanted to try. Unfortunately, things just got progressively worse during the match. Totally worth it, though." And this, guys, isn't the first time these two have made headlines for their support. They're very good friends. When they faced off for the first time at the U.S. Open in 2019, when Coco was like 15, Osaka invited Coco to join her for the post-match interview after after she won, which was an amazing moment. Two champions of the sport.
Sportsmanship. Great to see that.
Really nice. And really great to see this, guys. If you like movies and really high-quality acting, how about some drama here? Three-time Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis is coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan wearing the 4-5. He won the Academy Award for My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, and Lincoln. He announced his retirement for Hollywood 7 years ago after he was nominated for another Oscar for Phantom Thread in 2017. Now he's back making his return to the big screen in a movie called Anemone, which also happens to be his son Ronan's directorial debut. The script was co-written by the father-son duo, and the movie is about the complex and often fraught relationships between fathers and sons. So
good
kind of
reason
a
to
great
come
setup,
back.
right? Yeah, no reason not to do it. They're in production in London, and we will wait to see that. But first and finally this morning, we're officially in October, so Halloween season is in full swing. Bette Midler is kicking things off with a cryptic new video about her 1993 classic Hocus Pocus. Midler posting this video on Instagram with the words, "'Tis time." So fans are now reacting online, hoping and wondering, is this a sign that Hocus Pocus 3 might be coming down the pipe? The video has over 1 million views across social media, the majority of comments begging for the movie news. The cynic in me says she's just the queen of Halloween and is announcing that it's October, but why don't we choose hope and hope that the movie's coming out? Fans are investigating. One person pointing out this tiny Roman numeral. Wow, we're really digging deep.
Man.
There it is, circled. It's in the corner of the book. Another person noticed Bette's name on the wig stand on an on-set photo. Time will tell, but for now we'll just celebrate the Sanderson sisters in Salem because the first two Hocus Pocus movies are streaming now on Disney Plus.
You've got a lot of time.
We need a pop news investigation.
Okay, we'll get in it.
Pop news investigation.
Done.
We're all about good jeans this morning. Lifestyle contributor Lori Bergamotto has our fall denim guide that you can shop right now. Lori, let's get started. What are some of the denim trends we're seeing this season?
Okay, so Michael, I'm happy to report after a summer where we saw low-rise Y2K jeans that not everybody could pull off, and jorts, jeans plus shorts, jorts, I was not a fan, guys.
Yeah.
I am happy to report fall 2024, the denim is all really wearable.
Really?
Now, it's really wearable. The average American woman owns 7 pairs of jeans. The global denim market is projected to reach over $100 billion in 2025. So we have found really affordable, really fantastic looks for everyone.
and for everyone. So what we did, we got our friends and family, GMA friends and family, to come in and try these things out. And you know what? We're going to talk about this trendy baggy look we're seeing on Carolina. Let's check it out.
So our producer, Carolina, when we told her we wanted her to try these H&M loose baggy jeans on, she was like, oh my God, these are the exact style I've been looking at. And if you know Carolina, you know she's a Gen Z GMA fashion icon. So we loved these. They are really roomy. They're tighter at the waist, roomier in the leg. And that's something that we've seen in evolution. Last year was all about the wide leg, and now it's all about these, and they're under $40 from H&M.
Yeah, my producer, Erin, wears those all the time.
She's also a fashion icon.
She likes the way it moves like a bell around her legs. All right, our producer, Suzanne, she tried out a more tailored wide leg,
Yes, that's right. So this is from Everlane, and this one is their best-selling jean. They've sold over 200,000 pairs of this particular jean. It's their sky high, the way high, I should say, jean has a sky high rise, and a lot of women like that. Goes over your belly button, so it kind of holds everything in place, keeps you really well supported. Suzanne was really impressed by the quality and the wash of these jeans. And Michael, these have nearly 1 million 5-star reviews. I don't know about you, but I can't get 1 million people to agree on much about anything. No. They agree about these jeans, you guys, so check those Everlane jeans out, and they come in so many different sizes and colors and washes and everything.
Okay, and what about the form-flattering jeans?
Yes.
Our producer Caroline's mom, Susie, helped us out.
We love
Here
Susie. Okay, so Susie looks fantastic in these Madewell jeans. This is a bestseller, doesn't she?
Susie.
Look at her styling. This is the curvy, perfect vintage wide leg. So Susie said this was a bit of a different style for her, but she really liked them. They were really versatile. And what's great about this Madewell pair is it's sort of the Goldilocks fabric. It's a little stretchy and a little rigid, and that gives you just that perfect comfort level, but also it keeps them looking polished. Susie looked so polished there, she could wear that to work, or she could wear it just to hang out.
Now, finally, something for everyone. Our hairstylist, Marilyn, the famous Marilyn.
Marilyn's so shy.
Yes,
Marilyn.
very shy.
But we got her to wear this Good American, always fits good legs flare jean. Now, what's really different and really cool about these is that these come in a range of sizes. So for example, if you're maybe a size 2, you buy this in a 00 to 4 because it fits all of those sizes. It's some sorcery they've baked into these jeans where you buy one pair and it fits 3 to 4 different sizes. So these are incredible. We love that flare. It keeps things really balanced in proportion. We think Marilyn looks great.
Yep, I would get these for Gary, but I don't think they come in his
size. Oh, he's got to get a Gary. But Michael, can I tell you also the other trend that I'm wearing? I have it on here. It's the Gap denim dress.
Gotta show that off.
Yes, this is on sale today for $35. It's all about
$35.
$35. It's all about dark denim. You want indigo. You want those navy blues. That's the wash. So if you have a pair of jeans that you love and you're not in the market for a new silhouette, get a denim dress or a denim skirt or a denim shirt. But this is the wash to make you feel really relevant, really on trend.
You crushed it.
Thank you
crushed it.
friend.
And you know what? All of these styles are shoppable on our website. So coming up, star Peter Krause is here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to GMA, live from Times Square.
Welcome back, everybody. Peter Krause wowed us as a funeral director on 6 Feet Under, a lawyer in Dirty Sexy Money, and a sports anchor on Sports Night, Robin's favorite, Well, now he's a firefighter on a hit drama, 911. Peter, welcome to GMA.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here, Michael.
It's happy to have you here and have you safe. 911, you guys are always into something.
Yeah.
And, you know, last episode, it was Bee NATO.
Yeah.
22 million bees attacked L.A.
It's a tornado of bees.
But you got out of that emergency. Are you glad about that one?
I'm in a situation on the show where I play a consultant on a firefighting show within our firefighting show. So it's very meta, as the kids say, but loosely based on our fire chief, Mike Bowman, who's our consultant. But there's a lot more that's going to happen within that show. There's an actor who becomes very enamored of the character I play, Bobby, and he wants to learn everything about firefighting from me. And so he becomes a little bit obsessed with me as time goes on. But the bee NATO is, that's what we do. We did earthquakes. We've done tsunamis. But yeah, a tornado of bees.
Yeah.
Nowhere else on television.
No.
Can
The
you
promos
find
are great when you see all the bees going and the ship turning over and all that.
Yeah.
We know on the show that you are married to Angela Bassett.
Yes, I'm a very lucky man.
Yes, you are very lucky man.
Yeah.
What's it like working with her?
She is a blast. And last season we had a lot of fun with the rom-com gone wrong aboard a honeymoon cruise ship, which ends up getting boarded by a bunch of pirates who are after Bitcoin on a dongle. And anyway, that was, I know, right? Again, only on 911 can you see things like this. And then they sabotage the ship, it starts to sink, it flips upside down. I have to go up to an upside down roulette table to save somebody. And Angela and I got to do it all together, but she's fantastic to work with. And this particular episode, she's in an aircraft traveling with a witness prisoner. And her plane, there's that giant tornado of bees up there.
And you need to rescue her.
Yeah, somehow. Exactly.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Did they say where that flight took off from?
Bobby!
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Bobby!
Athena's on that flight, isn't she?
She's flying.
Of course she is. What else would she be doing?
Central dispatch like every company in the city to LAX for an emergency landing.
All right, where's your car?
It's this way. Streets are jammed. It took me forever to get here.
All right, we're taking that.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously, get in. Let's go.
So would you be a firefighter now? Could you handle all this?
I could probably get a cat out of a tree as people would me too. But no, we do a few things on the show, but it's a really high stress job.
Yeah, high stress. 7 seasons of high stress that you survived.
Yeah.
So which emergency was the most challenging?
Oh man, there have been a lot. I would say getting inside a helicopter to retrieve a donor heart hanging off the side of a building. I was in a stunt harness, and I also had then a practical fire hose wrapped around my waist, and we had extras and actors on the fire hose. And so when they dropped the helicopter from the crane, they were still hanging on to the fire hose. So my body kind of just right up to the top of the helicopter when they dropped the helicopter. So I was stuck there for a second, sort of like trying to get around. But that was challenging. And then also when we did the rom-com gone wrong inside the ship, certainly getting lifted out of the water from a helicopter in season 1 with a plane crash. There's been a lot of stuff.
One, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of crazy stuff.
I'm just thinking, I hope they pay you well.
Listening to it all.
You do all right.
But as Michael was saying, you do all right. As Michael was saying in the lead into you, like so many great shows that you've been a part of. And yes, Sports Night, that's one of my all-time types. That was where we met way back when. What's the reaction you get from fans when they see you?
It depends on the person, I really enjoy it when people greet me with my character name. I was back in Minnesota visiting family. I was in a store and I closed a refrigerator door in the store, and somebody was standing there and said, "Braverman?" for Parenthood. I was doing a play here in New York, and when the lights started, and Arthur Miller, who wrote the play, was alive at the time, and he was actually in the theater, but there was a woman in the front who, when the lights came up, said, "Nate." From 6 Feet Under, she said my character name. So you never know who's going to get. But people too. Recently, there was a guy TSA in LAX, who was a Sports Night fan. So he called me Casey. So any now and then, it's a character name, which I really enjoy.
Which means you're doing great work.
Yeah.
People, you're embodying the character.
Yep.
Just stay out of helicopters and all this other stuff. You're scaring me with the descriptions of what you've gone through. But we appreciate you being here. Always good to see you, man.
Michael. Likewise.
Thank you. 911 airs Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific right here on ABC, and it streams the next day on Hulu. So make sure you check that out.
We all know why you're here. You're here for part of the new series that I'm calling Who the Did I Marry? I'm going to create this playlist.
We're back with that viral TikTok series, Risa Tisa, talking about marrying, then divorcing a man she says turned out to be a pathological liar, getting hundreds of millions of views for her honesty. This morning, we're here to talk about the next chapter of her life. Welcome, Risa Tisa, back to GMA. Good to see you again. Oh my goodness, I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
We saw each other in March.
We
Now
did.
you are part of the Disney family.
I
Thank you so
am.
much for that. I got a TV series in the works. You excited about it?
I'm so excited. I mean, I am bursting at the seams. I'm glad the news is finally out, but I'm so excited to be working with Natasha.
Oh,
I am.
Natasha Rothwell, because when we sat down, I said, who would you want to play you? And you put it out to the universe.
I did.
She's not only starring, she's producing it. And this is what she said about your video. She said they are a vulnerable act of honesty. What was it about you two that connected so much?
So for me, I've loved her ever since she played Kelly in Insecure. And once I discovered that she actually wrote that character, I felt like, okay, this is someone I can trust to take this very serious story, add some humor to it, and present it to the world in a way that I felt like still keeps its integrity. So it's all about trust. I trust her with what has essentially become my baby.
Oh,
It
is. And she sees you.
Yeah.
She sees you, and that makes a big difference. So much has happened over these months for you, including you got a house.
I did. I became a homeowner.
And your realtor played a part of the story,
The
too.
same realtor that was in the story, the one that told me, hey, you know, something's not right. So if you need to do this by yourself, I will represent you. Amber, her name is Amber Steele. She was my realtor. She kept her word. And I told her, I said, when I'm ready, you're going to be the first person I call. And she was.
Because when you got married, that was one of the things that you wanted. And you got it for yourself.
I got it for myself.
And
I was my own proof of funds.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I love seeing that just even the smallest things when it comes to the house brings you joy.
Yeah.
I want people to see this.
I'm going to enjoy staring at faucets and choosing which one do I want to use for my home.
And that's it. It's just the pure joy
It is.
that you have. And everybody remembers London. That was on your bucket list. And you got there, and to Paris as well. So was it everything that you were expecting?
London was a whole vibe. Like I'm just looking for a reason to go back. It was amazing. I loved it. I loved meeting the people, eating the food, just seeing everything about it. At my heart, I'm a nerd. So I loved it. I absolutely adored it. And I loved Paris.
Yeah. That's what we loved about you. You're just a big old nerd, and you admit it.
I admit it.
Yeah, why do you think people just really, there was something about your story, your brutal honesty, that just connected with folks?
My hope is that in just seeing me in a very raw form, really is what got people's attention, because I feel like in so much with social media, we don't see that vulnerability. And for me, it really just came to a place where, look, I don't have it in me anymore to fake it. This is who I am. This is what I went through, the good, the bad, the ugly. But you know what? I'm still here. And I survived it.
And that's your message for folks, for them to know that as well. And all the things that have happened to you, you've still stayed yourself.
Yeah.
How have you been able to do that? Because a lot has come at you.
Ooh, a lot.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, I'm so grateful that I have a group of people around me, my mom, my family, my aunt, my grandfather, my cousin, who I'm sure is watching this, but I have a group of people who keep me grounded. I still go to work every day, so I still have the coworkers who were like, look, you're still just Teresa to us. And I love that because it keeps things in perspective.
Yeah.
So
really
I love
does.
it.
I can see it. I can see it. Just like I sit down with you in March, the same that you have always been. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to keep in touch, right?
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see it on screen. And we will very soon.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Risa. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. George?
Okay, thank you, Robin. It's now time for Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month. To celebrate the history and culture, we asked some Hispanic and Latin American members of the ABC team about their families' experiences. Gio Benitez here to share their stories. Good morning, Gio.
Good morning, George. A really special project. For so many Latinos, our grandmothers, las abuelas, are the bedrocks of our families, offering strong and sound guidance that really shape us into who we are. So this morning right here, we thought we would chat with our colleagues to share some advice from our abuelas.
Good morning, America. Whether it's behind the desk or in the field. Right now, we are in front of that famous Front Street here in Lahaina. The elders in our families encouraged us to reach for the stars. You know, I think about my abuelas, Lidia and Emilia, so much, constantly reminding me to be kind. These two mighty abuelas made me feel like I could do absolutely anything.
My abuela always stressed the importance of education. She was a grade school teacher, then a principal, and eventually a college professor in the Dominican Republic. And she always told me no one can take away how hard you work or your education.
My family had no choice but to become migrant farm workers. And my father, Bruno, saying, Juanito, do you want to do this kind of work for the rest of your life? Or do you want to get a college education to be the first one in our family to go to college? It was a no-brainer. The kid who was thinking of dropping out of high school, graduated from college, wound up getting a master's degree in journalism.
For some, the news runs in the family.
Un saludo muy especial a todos ustedes.
It really wasn't much of a shock when I was in college and told you I wanted to pursue a career in journalism.
It really wasn't because you grew up in this environment, but I remember telling you, Victor, if that's what you want to do, you've got to be passionate. You've got to be committed, you've got to be driven, so you've got to really love it.
Telling the stories that impact our communities.
Why are Hispanics prone to diabetes?
As a journalist, I have always thought that the two cultures that I grew up with would and should play a role in my reporting, and that's what I've done for decades now. I feel that I inherited from my father his social conscience, and from my mother, her strong work ethic.
Y entonces, ¿qué pasó? What happened?
Often leading by example.
I remember watching my mother work on her first master's degree, and she used to take us to her classes. To me, I will never forget those moments because it made me who I am today.
My mother came to this country, didn't speak the language, was able to find work, raised 3 boys in the inner city. That determination and grit is what allowed me to pursue a career, not just a job, to be the first one in my family to go to college.
Gio, good morning. Our health is everything.
Primero que nada, agradecerle a este gran país.
She lived in 2 different countries before she came to the U.S. And so something that we kind of take for granted, right? Or that we forget how to appreciate what we have and what we've been given in this country.
Reminding us to embrace who we truly are.
Muchas gracias.
To my abuelas, gracias. Oh, so nice to see her there. And something else my abuela taught me is to think about others who may not share the same experience. We know that we were lucky enough to meet our grandmothers, but there are so many others out there who never got that chance. The main message here is really to lean on those who love you, especially if they have that wisdom of the ages, right?
That was a lovely piece.
Oh,
thank you, Gia. Let's go to Ginger.
So much. Thank you. So every 2 seconds, someone needs blood in the U.S. But right now, we are facing a crisis with fewer young people donating than ever. The segment is sponsored by Abbott, and they are partnering with the Big Ten Conference to score a touchdown with a nationwide blood donation competition. We were there for their kickoff event. Check it out.
Abbott's a leader in blood testing, and coming out of the pandemic, what we noticed was that a lot of the blood centers were facing shortages. So we can say that we're going through probably one of the worst blood shortages in a generation right now. Given the magnitude of this issue, we got to go big. We approached the Big Ten with an idea, leverage all the students and the alumni of the Big Ten to kick off the greatest single blood drive in our generation, the We Give Blood Drive. What we hope to do is to, 1, restore the blood supply of the blood centers, but also bring in a next generation of blood donors. This is a competition where truly everybody wins. The winner will be announced at the Big Ten Championship game on December 7th. So they get not only bragging rights, which is hugely important, right? But Abbott will also make a $1 million donation to the winning school, so those funds can be dedicated towards student and community health programs.
Nice. There is nothing like a little rivalry to help inspire folks. All right, thanks to our sponsor, Abbott. Students, alumni, and fans, by the way, can all give blood at any center across the country. Each donation could save up to 3 lives.
Next, Grammy winner Pepe Aguilar performs live.
We're back now with a performance by one of the giants of Musica Mexicana. Here's 4-time Grammy winner Pepe Aguilar.
No es noticia nueva que ella está contigo. Bien lo sabe el mundo, todos son son testigos. Tan rápido el tiempo pasó y mi ángel alguien más me arrebató. Y no da la cara el bandido. Voy a ser muy claro, haz las cosas bien. Porque para forajidos, viejo, aquí no es. Y sé que es fácil ser cabrón, yo mismo estuve en esa situación. Pero es más hombre el que se queda y perdón. Si me pongo un poco rudo es que me dio el gano un chamaco suertudo. Cuídamela, ya la enamoraste, ya te la llevaste, ¿qué le voy a hacer? Que es que fue mía y yo ya sabía que le iba a perder. Y pa' qué suerte, ahora está contigo, que les vaya bien. Cuídamela bien, tal vez no es perfecta, pero te aseguro que sabe querer. Te faltaron rosas pa' que mi orgullosa cayera a tus pies. De frente te doy un consejo, si la quieres bien, no la cambies, porque se te da muy bien. El águila ya despegó y el que nos da la cara ahora la dio. Ni tú quedas a quererte, pero si me pongo un poco rudo es que me dio la madre un chamaco suertudo. Cuídamela bien, aquí donde me ve botella tras botella no me siento bien. Pues nada pendejo, le quitaste al viejo la mejor mujer. Suerte, que ahora está contigo, que les vaya bien. Ámala, cabrón, demuéstrale al mundo que agarraste el rumbo y tienes corazón. Hazla tan feliz como en la vida siempre quise hacerla yo. En el ojo del ciclón, por mi parte, yo les doy la bendición. Y siempre desearé el bien a su relación.
Big thanks to Pepe Aguilar for that great performance. Thanks for watching, everyone.